Hey, it's me, Nalthazar, and welcome to another episode of Mechanic Showcase. This one is going to be for a new mechanic that was introduced in Ikora, Mutate. Now, I decided to do Mutate as the second installment in this series because I happen to think that Mutate is the best mechanic that has been released into Puzzle Quest since Energize. I really like Mutate. We have a whole bunch of cards that do stuff with Mutate or have Mutate, so it's a pretty easy mechanic to get access to. And then once you start playing with it, you find that it's very powerful. So the way that Mutate reads is when you cast this card from your hand, if you control a non-token, non-mutated creature, you may choose it to enter the battlefield as a mutation. Now, as to what you can actually mutate, you can mutate almost any creature you control. So you cannot mutate a token, and you can't have a creature with mutation try and mutate itself. But otherwise, you can mutate any other creature you control that does not already have mutation, right? So the little facial symbol, which means that you can use a mutate creature to mutate another card once, right? So each card can be mutated once. In Paper Magic, you can mutate and mutate and mutate and just keep stacking the mutates on each other. But in Puzzle Quest, we can only put one mutate on. Now, I really quickly want to thank Andrew Van Marley. I actually posted this, and he pointed something out to me that I was a little bit wrong on, and that is that you can mutate other creatures that have mutate. So all of my testing, I had just run one creature with mutate. But if you run multiple creatures with mutate, you can have a creature with mutate a different creature that also has mutate. And a really interesting thing about that dynamic is that if you have two different creatures with mutate and one of them mutates the other, every time that creature gets reinforced, you cast another copy of it, you actually get both of the mutation effects, which means that you can get some pretty silly things going by having double mutate creatures. So if you take a look at the way that the mutation text actually reads, it says, this ability triggers whenever you reinforce this creature by casting a card if it has a mutation. And so say if you were using Cub Warden, right? If you mutated it with another card that has mutate, the Cub Warden would now have a mutation. And so now the Cub Warden's active ability is going to trigger whenever you reinforce the Cub Warden. And you could even go ahead and then say play that other mutate creature, and you could put a Cub Warden mutating on that other creature, and then you would get both of those abilities from both of those cards too. My favorite pairing so far is Otrimi and Illuna. And so I'd be interested in hearing what are some of the ones that you guys have used. Now, creatures that, all the cards that can mutate are creatures. So only creatures can mutate. And it's a very dynamic new mechanic because it allows you to run a fourth creature in your deck. Typically, I wouldn't recommend running more than 3 creatures in a deck. If you're playing with a Planeswalker that can produce tokens, you can get away with running 2. If you're running with something that has leader, you can get away with running tokens that produce more than one type of creature. But in general, as a rule of thumb, before Mutate came out, you just wanted to have 3 creatures in your deck. Now, creatures that are able to mutate are going to have this little DNA symbol on them. And so you can see that on all these cards here on the left side of the screen. All of these creatures have that little mutate symbol, right? So you'll see it, for example, right over here with the Archipelagore, or right over here with the Sterix. All of those have mutate. Now, when you mutate a creature, it gets a facial, or whatever this here symbol is. I really don't know, but that's the mutation symbol. So when you select a creature to be mutated, they're going to gain that mutation, and then what happens when you mutate a creature is a number of things. And this is what makes the mechanic so good. So the first thing that's going to happen to that creature is it's going to be reinforced. The second thing is if that creature has any enter the battlefield effects, then it's going to immediately trigger that enter the battlefield effect. And then finally, the third thing is almost all of the cards that mutate are going to also provide some additional boost for mutating. And so you're going to also get that boost. Furthermore, every time you cast another copy of that card, not only are they going to reinforce regularly, but they're also going to get the mutate ability again. So It's very dynamic, it's very powerful, and there's a lot of ways to utilize it. If you're wondering what my favorite cards are with Mutate just out the gate, I happen to think that Otrimi is quite possibly one of the 3 strongest cards in Standard. You'll see that I don't have too much experience on it because I only pulled it like 2 days ago, but in those 2 days, I've gotten a ton of play out of it. This is definitely one of the best cards in Standard, hands down. It's incredible. It's ridiculous. It's actually a little bit different than the other Mutate cards. I actually want to take just a quick second to go over Otrimi. So with Otrimi, you're going to get the Mutate ability, which is that you destroy the first 3 different creature cards from your library. But then the creature that you mutate is also going to get the bottom ability. So when this creature deals combat damage to your opponent's planeswalker, return the first creature card from your graveyard to your hand and give it full mana. Now, the thing that separates Otrimi from all the other mutate creatures is that Otrimi actually maintains the bottom ability. So not only can you mutate 2 to 3 other creatures with the top ability, and they're also going to gain the bottom ability, but Otrimi actually keeps that bottom ability itself. So it's actually worth playing Otrimi as a creature also. Whereas most of the other mutators are best to be played just as mutations. Dirgebat is another one that I found that's pretty good. It can provide you quite a bit of control without needing to run spells. So for objectives where you need to run X or fewer spells, Dirgebat is a great card to add to your deck because you can destroy vanguards, you can destroy creatures, and you just need to mutate something or reinforce it by casting it. So really, really good on that front. As for some other mutate creatures that I really like, Migratory Greenhorn is going to put in a heck of a lot of work for you. It's going to reinforce your creature, you're going to get the enter the battlefield effect, and you're going to get a free land every time you play that creature. So this is going to benefit your battlefield a lot. It's going to improve your tempo. And so I really like this card, both for newer players and players with more extensive collections. And then for my last page of little mutators, Sea Dasher Octopus is absolutely fantastic. It's going to do the whole mutation thing. It's also going to buff the creature additionally, and on top of that, you're also going to get that at the beginning of combat on your turn, draw a card and gain mana. So you're drawing cards, you're gaining mana, you're getting a whole bunch of goodness by having the Sea Dasher Octopus. Now, the final card that I want to highlight here is Regal Leo Soar. I really like this card for newer players because the 8 mana is very non-prohibitive for someone who doesn't have level 60 planeswalkers. And then on top of that, you're also going to be making it so that when you get the mutation, you're going to be giving all of your creatures +3/+2 until end of turn. So on top of getting the reinforcement and that power toughness boost, you're also potentially giving all your creatures a total for additional 9 power from 3 creatures getting that +3. So this is a really good card for newer players, but honestly, the mutate mechanic is fantastic. So yeah, if you haven't used it yet, you definitely should try it out. Let's go ahead and take a look at some gameplay with Mutate. Now, I tend to get a lot of requests to use monocolor planeswalkers or to make a pauper deck or something like that, so I figured that what I'd do here for this video, as it's a mechanic showcase, I figured that I would go ahead and appease all of my fans by doing both of those things. So I added a token common here for you guys to make it a pauper deck. So this here makes it so that we can go ahead and classify my deck as pauper, and everything else is generally pretty easy to get to. You can get them all in packs and stuff, except Court of Calling, which is an event card. So the highlight here is definitely going to be Otrimi, and so let's go ahead and showcase how Mutate works against a demon. Ooh, evil Obnixilis, you say? I feel like not enough people are using Obnixilis these days, but that's not the point of this video, Nalthazar. So we've got 2 Otrimis. That's going to be perfect. That's going to be perfect because ultimately we do want to go ahead and mutate those Otrimis onto things. So let's go ahead and just start matching and talking a little bit about what's the plan, Stan. So you'll see here that on Otrimi, we've got that little mutate DNA symbol, which means that we can go ahead and mutate Otrimi onto our creatures. So for the first creature, it's going to be that Chancellor of the Tangle. I'm going to go ahead and try and mutate Otrimi onto that Chancellor of the Tangle, unless the game decides to be extra nice and give me another option, which, is always possible, but is quite unlikely. So You will find that when you're using Mutate, the creatures that you are mutating power up really, really quickly. It can be kind of surprising, actually, how quickly your creatures can power up. It's a very, very strong mechanic. It is not a mechanic to be overlooked. So this should get us our Chancellor of the Tangle this turn. And then that means that we just need to match a little bit more, and we will get our Otrimi down, and we will be able to start mutating the world. Now, one of the reasons why I'm using Otrimi for this video is because the way that Otrimi works, you're able to just mutate so many things as a result of its ability that I felt like it was kind of, like the best option here. The Chancellor is going to give us a ton of mana, so it's going to make up for some of the other silly shenanigans that the game might try and throw at us. Dead Bridge Chant is going to work perfectly in conjunction with Otrimi because Otrimi is going to be dumping creatures in our graveyard. So let's go ahead and take a look at our first Mutate interaction. So when you fully charge the mana of a creature with Mutate, and there is a creature that is available to be mutated on the battlefield, you will be given this prompt right here that you see on the screen. If you charge up a creature with Mutate, and you do not have an available target for Mutate, then it will just automatically cast the creature. Okay, so you don't get this prompt. But as I have the Chancellor on the battlefield, I have this option of Mutation or Creature. Now I'm going to go ahead and select Mutation, and you'll see that it's going to immediately reinforce my Chancellor. And then on top of immediately reinforcing the Chancellor, when the Chancellor hits my opponent, I immediately get a creature from my graveyard with full mana. So that just gave me a free Gaia's Revenge just for having that Chancellor mutated. And since we have another Otrimi, that wasn't Gaia's, excuse me. I'm sorry, Chancellor and Gaia's both have the same mana cost. So I done minor goof, but that's okay, Nalthazar. I forgive you anyways. Yes, I'm forgiving myself. So here we're going to go ahead, play Chancellor of the Tangle. That's going to make it so that the Otrimi is going to destroy 3 more creatures. And then I'm actually going to go ahead and play Otrimi itself. And so here you'll actually get to see why Otrimi is such an incredibly special mutate creature, ideally, right? So we get another Chancellor down. That's going to mill 3 more creatures. We're going to get another Otrimi down. The Chancellor is giving us yet another Otrimi, which is just fine because Dead Bridge Chant is going to give us the Gaias. And yeah, I think that's it for Ob, right? Like Ob Nixilis doesn't really stand a chance here, unfortunately for Ob. I'm actually not going to cast the Genesis Ultimatum so that you can see the true power of Otrimi here. So I think I'm just under the cap for the kill. So this should give us 3 creatures. Yep, and then Dead Bridge Chant will give us the 4th. So I hope this gives you guys a pretty good idea of how Mutate works. For those of you that haven't tried Otrimi yet, this is a fantastic starter guide to using Otrimi. If you don't have Otrimi yet, hopefully this makes you want to chase it because it really is this good. It's a ridiculously good card. And then for those of you that haven't had a lot of time to tinker with Mutate, I hope this gives you an opportunity to tinker with the mechanic. It's really good, guys. It's really, really good. So let's make this match, end it on a high note. And thank you guys so much for watching. Those of you who've joined my Discord server, followed me on Twitter, all that stuff, thank you very much. I really appreciate all of you guys. Have a great one, and I'll see you in the next one.